Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and welcome to the psychotic ramblings of a dude obsessed with Bethesda Game Studios games. If you were looking for that, you've clicked on the right video, because I have gone so far down the rabbit hole of speculation and mental gymnastics here to try to make sense of what Bethesda Game Studios is doing. You may as well put a little conspiracy board behind me here of just piecing together all of the arguments, all of the different facts I'm about to throw at you here, because what I am looking at here is Bethesda Game Studios, who is a pattern beast, breaking the pattern. Why are they doing that? For those who have not caught up, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remake originally was rumored to be dropping in June. I was ready to accept that. No problems, no question marks. Hey, that's around the time of the Xbox Summer Showcase. You drop it around that window there, maybe an announcement a little bit ahead of that, like the Nintendo Switch 2 event. It all makes sense to me. Then we get the rumor from Nate the Hate that they're planning to both reveal and release Oblivion Remake in the month of April, which then Andy Robinson of VGC co-signed on Twitter. So in turn, every expectation I had of Bethesda Game Studios, this marketing strategy and so on, has been bucked. And because of that, I have questions. Why do I have questions? Well, Bethesda's owned by Xbox, and have you looked at April for Xbox? You have South of Midnight, Expedition 33, which is a Game Pass game. You have Towerborn, also a Game Pass game at the end of the month. Forza Horizon 5 is jumping over to PS5. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is leaked to be dropping in the middle of April. And you're adding Oblivion Remake into that mix. So I look at all this and go, why? Why don't you spread the wealth? Why isn't May okay? Okay, well, if you're Bethesda, May is doomed the Dark Ages. So doesn't June just make the most sense? The competition's pretty light. You got System Shock Remake. You've got Death Stranding 2. I feel like you could find a home for Oblivion Remake there. So why April? Well, sticking with Xbox a little bit, I'm wondering if they're trying to boost engagement numbers. 2025 has been the Band-Aid rip year, as I've said ad nauseum. And so you're seeing really early announcements of things like the Muse AI system, right? Like this is how we're going to change creative iteration in game development. We saw Copilot for gaming very recently, Xbox depicting this as their future for gaming. We're hearing rumors of partner hardware devices that is going to be a further Band-Aid rip. They're talking a lot about any screen, anywhere, Xbox Anywhere is the marketing slogan. And now you look at a bump in player numbers in that month to get like your Q1 numbers up. And so Xbox in turn can go to shareholders and say, see, the strategy is working. And I do think Oblivion Remake could provide said significant bump. So when I see all of this competition in April and I see all these announcements from Xbox, I mean, that's the only logical conclusion I can come to, because it is a shotgun blast among shotgun blasts of content everywhere. And no single human, if you've never played any of these games, which most of these are brand new releases outside of the Forza Horizon port and Indiana Jones, just a couple months old, you can't play all of this in a single month. It's just unrealistic. So I'm looking at it at first from the Xbox angle. Is that why we have a shadow drop in April? But then we go to a place that I talk about a lot. I give a lot of credit to it. It's Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. It's obvious Xbox will be here in some capacity. However, would Nintendo promote a game so heavily on their own Direct if this game was arriving later in the year on the platform, especially because the expectation for the Switch 2 when that Direct happens is we're going to be waiting a month and a half tops for the Switch 2. I mean, you can't shadow drop the hardware, so I feel like if you shadow drop the game while the hardware is being fully revealed and saying like, yeah, if you're interested in this, you can play it on Switch 2 in a couple of months, I feel like that takes a lot away from what Nintendo gains out of all of this. But in fairness, Skyrim was part of the Nintendo Switch reveal, and we didn't get Skyrim on Switch until November of that launch year. See what I said? I did go down the rabbit hole for this. It's insane. But again, if I'm Nintendo, I don't see the benefit of going, it's available now for everyone, except those who are interested in this platform we are showing off for the first time. And perhaps none of that matters, because Nate the Hate also said on his Twitter account that he hasn't heard of a Switch 2 version, and I'm not taking full credibility of that just because, oh, he's the source of the Oblivion Remake rumor. This guy also knew the date that the Switch 2 would be revealed. Probably his biggest leak ever. And so I feel like if he knew about that, he'd have an idea of what SKUs are going to be available for the Oblivion Remake. So then if you can cross out the Switch Direct, what April event is there? And the question also is, does Oblivion Remake even need an April event? Does it need an event at all? Can it just straight up shadow drop? I think so. But then I'm going to put on my suit and tie here. I look at it from a corporate business angle. You miss out on the marketing buildup, the merch, the pre-orders, the hype, and honestly, for Elder Scrolls fans to feel like they're good enough to have like a new type of feeling release rather than just like another Skyrim remaster, another edition of Skyrim, or an Elder Scrolls Online expansion, which again, I love all these things, but like, yeah, Elder Scrolls fans have been picking the meat off the dry bone for a while now. I think they deserve to feel good for a long while and just enjoy the hype cycle that, say Fallout fans have had multiple times in the past couple of years. But then my brain went down this next new route here. Expectations. What actually is this product? Because I think it determines a lot of what Oblivion Remake is. So for me, what am I expecting? Not Skyblivion. To be very clear, I am not expecting Oblivion to be completely remade in its environments like they're trying to do, its questing, brand new loot when it comes to weapons and armor, unique items. I don't expect Bethesda and Virtuos, sadly, the people with way more capital behind the project than what Skyblivion has, to deliver on that level. Skyblivion's been in development for an absurdly long time where they've had the ability to do all of that. A lot of that work's been volunteer work, and they're doing an excellent job with it, and they fought through so much adversity. I don't think what Bethesda's doing, what Virtuos is doing, is going to match up with Skyblivion. I'm expecting a shinier Oblivion, and I'm basing that off of past work from Virtuos. When Virtuos revealed the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, and then press got their hands on it, the word on the street was, yeah, it's a prettier Metal Gear Solid 3. Like, not many huge overhauls at all. Definitely not in story, but also even in gameplay, it's pretty light. You can also look at something like Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition. This is a game that, when it first released, was very scary as an Outer Worlds fan, because I'm like, how do you take an already peak game, in my opinion, and make it visibly worse? Fortunately, they went on to fix it, but the point being is that this is sort of what Virtuos does. It's not like they're going in there, retooling the game heavily. They try to shine it up, make it a little bit more vibrant, and then package in any DLC and call it a day. Now, admittedly, given Oblivion is so old and it's reportedly being repackaged through Unreal Engine 5, the expectation should be higher on what that shiny Oblivion looks like, but at the end of the day, I am not expecting a completely overhauled combat system. As far as we know, thanks to a LinkedIn leak, what you've got here is blocking that's going to be borrowing ideas from Souls-like and other action games. The sneak icons are now highlighted, and they've reworked the damage calculations for sneaking. The stamina system and knockdowns have been modified. The UI was changed to be more appealing to younger players. Hit reactions are improved. Archery is more playable in both first and third person, but there has been no mention in any of these leaks that they're going the way of Skyblivion, going above and beyond, delivering wholly rethought environments, rethought dungeons, diversifying the visual palette of Oblivion's world further, and including those new weapons and armor. I'm just not seeing any of those in the leak. Would I be pleasantly surprised if that were the case? Yes, but if I am the Skyblivion team, because I see in the comments often, people, when I talk about Oblivion Remake, are like, oh, poor Skyblivion. I'm like, I wouldn't go there yet, man. If anything, this might be fuel for their fire, not only for them to over-deliver, but also, I've been around this Bethesda rodeo long enough. I could almost predict how this whole thing is going to go, and I think Skyblivion is going to be like the biggest mod of all time because of Oblivion Remake and it not delivering what people are looking for, and this being the true rendition of what folks are looking for when it came to an Oblivion Remake. Again, I've been around the Bethesda rodeo. I know how this is going to go. And frankly, when you look at Skyblivion, I mean, that's what I was hoping for, but I don't think that's what we're going to get. Now, with Skyblivion in mind, alongside considering less changes in Bethesda's remake of Oblivion, doesn't a shadow drop make a lot more sense now? You generate hype in this form. There's likely some winds of change blowing through how video games will tackle marketing, with many people making up their minds so readily online before even seeing the game itself. So in that mindset, a pretty basic Oblivion remake could actually make more positive noise by just surprise and immediate gratification alone, rather than rolling it out long term and having it get dragged into the inevitable Skyblivion comparisons that would probably destroy it. And frankly, I think long term still likely will. Now, again, as I said at the start of a lot of this segment, I'm speaking from Bethesda's business angle. Me, I played OG Oblivion last year, finishing up Shivering Isles. We'll talk about that in a separate video, probably on Retro Rebound. I also am playing the remake this year, and I will play Skyblivion whenever it comes out because That is what I'm here for. I'm here for all of this. I'm excited for all of this. But if I'm Bethesda and I'm in my competitive mindset, Sky Oblivion absolutely is a threat to them, and they'd be wise to work around it as best they can if they're looking to make some money off of this game. But that's not where it all ends. No. Come on, you know my videos. There's still more. Elder Scrolls 6 is really where I went fully down the speculitis rabbit hole, because if there's one thing I can't shake off with everything we just discussed is still one concrete fact, is that if it is Shadow Drop next month, it all feels really accelerated. It all feels like it's moving a little too fast. It's almost as if there is a hat that needs to drop in order to make sense of all this, and we might not know for months. So I'm putting my prediction out there again, and there's a strong chance I'm wrong about this, but also I don't think I'm crazy. After I did all of my research and started to piece it all together, I was like, look, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again, so just bear with me here, because I do think an Elder Scrolls 6 trailer can happen this year, particularly at the Xbox showcase. Let's start by looking at Starfield. It had a much more drawn-out marketing campaign, and in the end of it all, whether the game worked for you or not is not what I'm talking about. We're talking money here, which is what Bethesda cares about. According to Circana, Starfield ended up being in the top 10 best-selling games of 2023, which is considered one of both the best and most competitive years in gaming history, and that was an Xbox and PC exclusive title. Still no PS5 version yet. This is also important to note because while Todd likes to keep his windows between reveal and release short, Starfield was the opposite and did ridiculously well in the sales department. Throughout the marketing campaign, we got things like Into the Starfield, which involved the development process of Starfield. We also got to meet other members of the team, removing at least some of the attention off of Todd Howard and spreading to more people like Angela Crowder, Istvan Pelli, Will Shen, who sadly left the company recently, Emil Pagliarulo, and so on. And I think that part is important, as Todd more than ever has been emphasizing how it's not just him, but the team, and whether that's for the studio's legacy or him just highlighting there's more talent beyond just him, I think the extended marketing campaign did help in all of that, having people beyond Todd be the ones delivering the news. Now, we also got trailers with concept art, each breaking down one of the 3 major star systems in Starfield alongside some of its factions. And I'm not saying Elder Scrolls 6 needs this type of marketing campaign per se, because it's not a totally new universe, but it did add to the fact that Starfield consistently had stuff coming out. At the same time, Starfield's original teaser trailer in 2021 was more of a vibe check in my opinion, but it also did, in fairness, put out a release date that was off by almost a full year. It was saying it was coming out in 2022, and we already know came out September 2023. But that trailer did say to us, hey, here's the fidelity, here's the art style, here's the ship, here's how it sounds, here's what weapons will look like, plus a voiceover discussing Constellation, you finding a key, and something you're investigating. It gave those who were excited for Starfield something to pick at for a while, but it also just put a lot of things into place. That's something Elder Scrolls 6, in my opinion, is missing. A lot of people forget when they start to talk about the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, but that was a hasty announcement done to offset any concern that Fallout 76 would have during its reveal. It was a fully online Fallout game, and while it's gone through its fantastic redemption arc now, the reality is, at the time, many of us were looking at multiplayer Bethesda and going, what about single-player Bethesda? That's what we're here for, and that's why they announced Starfield. And then, in case Starfield wasn't enough, when are we getting Elder Scrolls 6? They announced that as well. So I don't see why, after Todd, who is the studio head and pretty much the savior of Elder Scrolls in a lot of ways, and how he acknowledged and seemed borderline embarrassed about the gap between Elder Scrolls 6 and its trailer and where we're at now, that we couldn't get a more established Elder Scrolls 6 trailer. And I'm not talking release date like the teaser trailer for Starfield, but a similar vibe check like I mentioned. Here's the official setting. Here's a tease of what the mechanics may support. Like if you see a boat sailing along, you know where Bethesda fans are going to go, right? And some people may say, Matty, you're overthinking it, but this is how Bethesda builds their trailers, because they know people like me and hundreds, thousands of others are going to pick this thing apart frame by frame. So a little boat sailing around would go and tell us something has to do with boats in this game. Not only would it serve as a great gift to patient Elder Scrolls fans, but it goes back to my point of waiting for another hat to drop. In my head, if I'm planning an Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, I know that Oblivion Remake is going to get a second wind of sales in Q2 when people are reminded of Elder Scrolls 6's existence. Oh my god, it's still years off. I need my Elder Scrolls fix now. Boom. There it is. You obviously get the bump when it's first released, and then you get a second bump after the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, inevitably. And in turn, what you have there, it's a pretty effective marketing campaign without really saying much about Oblivion Remake at all, and just letting word of mouth, streamers, content creators, and press do their thing. But again, I think this just gets propelled if you do Elder Scrolls 6. Plus, if we go back to Xbox as a company, they haven't shown any hesitation in debuting games like Fable multiple times, perhaps too many times in its case, but without any sort of release window. A Hey, It's Alive trailer just doesn't seem that insane to me considering all the circumstances I have just laid out. And last but not least, to wrap things up, I remembered we've kind of seen Elder Scrolls 6 in this very, very mild technological window, if you will. During the 25th anniversary celebration for Elder Scrolls, Bethesda posted a video, and Todd Howard said in 2019 that they were building the technology now for the future, and that is partially shown in Starfield. However, they also showed how Bethesda was using photogrammetry techniques to scan in environments, and even NPCs like Skyrim Grandma, who we saw what an NPC would look like in Elder Scrolls 6. So between Starfield iterating on that technology and the time in between that and now, and Elder Scrolls 6 being in full production since 2023, I don't think it is a crazy idea, with everything considered here, that you do get an Elder Scrolls 6 trailer that just says, hey, it's set in Hammerfall, and lightly teasing mechanics, setting, what's the theme of the story, who are the factions involved, that sort of thing. Just my 2 cents after a lot of just diving probably unnecessarily deep, but I love doing this type of thing from time to time. So anyway, I hope all of you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on Oblivion Remake, what's going on with its release date window, and if you think I'm just absolutely insane. Is there just a very obvious point right here in front of my nose that I'm missing? You let me know, obviously. You've likely already let me know, but if you haven't, fire away down below. I'm very curious as to your thoughts on this subject, and with that, I'll catch all of you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.